Welcome to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. I'm Tori Mystic, here with my dogs Lucy and Bert. Together, we're interviewing cool, creative women entrepreneurs in the pet industry. Do you dream of working alongside your dog? Then sit, stay, and listen to the latest episode to find the inspiration and resources that will help you grow your own dog-inspired business. In this episode, I am talking with a very inspirational dog mom. Marika Meeks, along with her dog Stella, is the founder of IncredibullStella. Marika is always up to something new, and today you'll get to hear about her new book, a partnership with Papa John's Pizza, a pilot for a TV show, and a screenplay that she's writing. One of my biggest takeaways from our conversation is about timing. Marika talks about repitching great ideas a year or two later. What might have been a flop a few years back could be a huge hit now. Let's dive in. Marika Meeks is an active rescue and foster dog mom who helps rehome dogs in need. As the founder of IncredibullStella, she's been honored as the 2019 Dog Mom of the Year, has appeared on HGTV, the Hallmark Channel, The Dodo, The Mel Robbins Show, Animal Planet, and more. She's also the author of a book titled IncredibullStella: How the Love of a Pit Bull Rescued a Family. Marika is a lifelong entrepreneur and turned her efforts toward rescuing and advocating for dogs everywhere after narrowly surviving a stage 3 breast cancer diagnosis a few years ago. Turning an emerging passion into her life's purpose, she and her pit bull Stella are followed by over 80,000 people around the world. The pair have committed to paying it forward with the gift of Marika's second chance by helping homeless dogs get a second chance too. Hey, Marika.
Hey, Tori. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so excited to talk to you and, catch up on what you've been up to because we've known each other for a few years. We met probably surrounding all the blog pause kind of stuff, and we got to meet in person there too. But you seem like one of the busiest people I know.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm excited to hear what it is that you're doing with IncredibullStella. Maybe for the people who are listening who don't know about you and all the amazing stuff you do, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this?
Yeah, actually, this was a complete turn from what I've done for the rest of my life. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old, and then I almost died of cancer, and I really wasn't expecting to survive that. And when I did, I found myself in a place where I was just as lost as if I was still fighting for my life. And I had really forgotten what normal life was. And, I was still alive, but I didn't know really how to live anymore. And I had a chance encounter with a dog. I had gone to these people's house and they opened up their sliding glass window. A little dog ran in. I got down on my knees. It put its little arms around my waist and just held its head still against my chest. And I had this whoosh of energy that went through my body. It still gives me goosebumps. And it was the first time in several years through my battle with cancer that felt like I was really being guided in a new direction. But I had a little bit of an issue because although I felt like the universe was definitely guiding me towards getting a dog, I have a wonderful husband who was really my guardian angel through all of this. And the one promise I made to him before we got married, he said, I want to marry you, but I don't want to have dogs. And I said, okay, I do, and it wasn't a big deal at that time. But now I sort of, have this issue where I have to figure out what direction I'm going and not undermine my marriage at the same time. So that's kind of really how all of this started. I never technically asked him for a dog. I was just peppering and dropping a lot of hints in a lot of different places. And I finally one night at dinner, he said to me, for the love of God, he goes, please just fill out an adoption application. And little did he know that would start our whole family on a journey that has now, we probably rehomed over 80 dogs now. And we say one dog at a time. And Stella is our personal dog, but we typically always have another dog in tow that we're helping to get prepared and find them their perfect home.
I love that story. And I want to know how you kind of met Stella. So your husband finally caved, said You can get a dog. But you ended up with like your perfect, like your heart dog. And how did you get so lucky? How did you find her and know that she was going to be so amazing?
Well, I do believe that the universe or spirit or whatever you want to call it has a lot to do with that. I have had several dogs over the years that sort of just they happened to me. It's not like we sort of had this love connection. You know, I had a sister that got a divorce and didn't have a place for her dog. I had another dog when I was taking my cats to the vet that was being put to sleep that had a broken leg that I was like, oh gosh, got to save that one. And then another dog that my ex-husband had picked out that wasn't like a love match for me. You know, we kept those dogs for their life and gave them good homes. But I can't ever say that those relationships for me were fulfilling ones. And so that's when my husband said, I just don't want, I want to marry you. I just don't want to have dogs. I was like, I've been there, done that, so it wasn't a big deal. So I was really, really bound and determined that I found the right dog for me. I had such an experience with that little dog that connected with me on a soul level that I said a little prayer when we went to our first and really only adoption event. And that was, don't let me leave here with any dog. Only let me leave here with a dog if my dog is waiting here for me. And that was really, really important to me. So luck or whatever you want to call it, I think Stella and I were meant to be together. And she's actually sitting next to me right now. And she's just such a special girl.
Yeah, she is an amazing dog. And it seems like she's such a support to you emotionally and in so many different ways. You post a lot of content. I see lots and lots of stuff. And one of the things that I think about when I think of you is videos, because you do so many videos. And Stella is very, very cute. And I think she's probably had quite a few like viral videos, I
Yeah.
guess you could say. So tell us a little bit about why you like doing videos so much. And did Stella inspire you to kind of go down that route versus, I don't know, doing just regular photos or doing long blog posts or anything like that?
Well, I have to say, before Stella, I wasn't involved in any of this. So it wasn't like I did it one way and then Stella came along and I started doing it another way. But over time, I believe in an old saying. I don't know who came up with it, but people, they need to know you. They need to like you. They need to trust you. And maybe at some point they even buy from you, or if in my case as a nonprofit, donate to you. And I realized that as much as my channel was about dogs, it was my narration of what was going on that people could relate to. And I had an experience kind of early on when we were fostering a dog with very special needs. She was an extreme fear case. And anyway, she went to a meet and greet. It all went sideways. She ended up scaling a 6-foot concrete block wall in the middle of the night. She was gone. It was probably the worst experience of my life, and also the best, because when I got there, we got there raced to try and get her back and find her. I had posted reluctantly on Instagram that she was missing, and when I got there, I was not prepared for what I was going to see. And that was a small army of people that had come out to help me find her. And I realized at that point that people were wanting to help me. They were wanting to participate and take part. And this was bigger than just Stella being a cute dog. But the most important thing happened to me is, unfortunately, it was the middle of July here. It was 109 degrees, even still at 9 o'clock at night. And this dog actually ended up collapsing from heat stroke. We rushed her to the vet. We were there. She spent the night. And the next morning, somebody had gone in to visit her. And he told me, he said, I sat by her side. And he said, I played all your Instagram videos because I wanted her to hear your voice. And to me, that was such a connection level that people do. They do want that. They want more than just a static picture. They want to know who you are. They want to feel like you're their friend. And to me, that will always stay with me. And so I do make a big point of being myself and showing up, however I am on a particular day, which sometimes I look pretty decent and sometimes, well, I look like today probably. And just being real with people. And through the video, I think we're able to accomplish that.
Well, and another thing that I think, well, first of all, I like almost cried when you said that he showed your videos to the dog while she was recovering. That's just like touching, amazing. But I think another thing that I think of when I see your account is some of your videos seem like stuff that, like, if I were to think like, oh, I'm going to take a video of this and send it to my sister. But instead of sending it to my sister, post it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. It's like that is the kind of like intimacy and familiarity that you bring to your content, and you've made your community like your huge extended family, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's not just me and it's not just Stella. It's my personal extended family, my immediate family, that now get recognized in places. My car's decked out with IncredibullStella stuff. And Brian was at the grocery store and this lady tracked him down in the grocery store and said, "I saw your car outside. I knew you must be in there." He's like, "Do I know you?" And she's like, "No, but I know you." And it's the knowingness of being, just putting yourself out there. And people say funny things like they connect on little tiny levels. Like I'll do a video and someone write to me, "Oh my gosh, I bought that same rug. I had that same rug. I got it at Costco." And it's just kind of amusing to me, but it's like people are looking to feel like they can really resonate and connect. And through showing kind of the nitty gritty of the day, I think people are able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and your videos in general, I don't mean to like stick on this topic forever, but I think it's just interesting that they're very raw. Like you're not putting in graphics and editing stuff like crazy. Like you just post stuff like exactly how it happens, which I think people really like that as well.
Well, I think that's a psychological thing. I found really early on, I had this graphic of the front of a dog food bag, and I was all clever and I brought it into Photoshop and I took out the dog that was on there and I inserted Stella's picture and I thought, "Oh, this is so neat. Stella's on this bag of dog food, through Photoshop." And I posted it and I got zero, not zero engagement, but we're pretty close to it. And I think where our minds and subconsciously we're pretty adept at filtering out advertising and bloop, 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 going right past it. And so my advice or my personal guideline is whenever I choose that feature photo that's going to come up from my video, it'll never be one that includes a logo or writing, because I feel like as soon as anybody sees that, they tune out. And I also see oftentimes the more work I put into something to make it look as professional as possible, the less people are interested. They don't want to see a commercial. They want to see just an actual video. And so I think that's a really interesting observation.
Yeah, I think you're just like killing it basically in that department, and you're totally right. And I've seen the same thing on my account too. When I put like days worth of effort into creating this amazing trailer video, nobody watches it. And then when you post some random thing that's not perfect, it's blurry or whatever, everyone likes it. So
it's funny. It's oh, that got my brilliant piece of art that I worked on, it's got 100 views and 95 of them are me watching it over and over again. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? This is brilliant. But just last week I was working out at the gym and Stella went with me and she jumped up on the fitness table with me, and I was just doing those bicycle leg things as I laid on my back, and Stella's up on the table sitting between my legs. There was nothing special about that video. I didn't think so, but I posted it and I was like, whoa, that has over 28,000 views. And so, like you said, as soon as you think you got it figured out, the rules change or the game change. And so even with Instagram suppressing likes, it's I don't care about that. I really don't care about it, because what am I going to do about it? For one, there's nothing I can do about it. And you just got to keep on capturing the daily lives, the daily moments, and let people participate vicariously through your adventure.
Yeah. And I also, people are always asking me what I think about likes on Instagram or likes being hidden or whatever. And I always have to ask people what is your mission? Your mission in your business is probably not getting thousands and thousands of likes. There's got to be something bigger that you're working on. And so you're working on big, impactful things and impacting so many people's lives and dogs' lives. So, tell us a little bit about some of this new stuff that you're working on. Um,
Yeah.
you're working on so many things. I don't even know how to like pinpoint one thing to talk about. But before we hit record, you were talking about what you're doing with Papa John's Pizza. So maybe you can
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that first.
Well, I'll start out by saying that my husband lovingly says, his name's Brian, that I'm a little bit like a fart in a skillet. Like I'm just all over the place, bopping from one thing to the other. And I have to say that's pretty accurate. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I'm working on. As you know, we released a book in August, which we were super excited to have endorsed by Animal Planet's Jackson Galaxy. We were picked up in Target and chosen as their recommended read. Delilah, the talk show radio host, she chose us for the book of the month for October. So we've had some incredible strokes of luck, but it also is a result of a lot of hard work. One of the things that we
Well, wait,
wanted
wait,
to
wait,
do,
wait. Before
yeah,
you move on, you just like said
yeah.
some amazing things. Like, how did you do that? Like, how do you reach out to Jackson Galaxy or Delilah or Target? You know, I know it's a lot of hard work, but did you work with someone who knew what they were doing, or were you just kind of persistent in calling and calling and calling?
Um, it's a multifaceted answer actually because our publisher is out of New York. They have connections with some of the of those entities like Modern Dog Magazine and stuff like that. So we're in some of those because of those relationships. Delilah was a result. A radio show was a result of the publisher's efforts. When Stella was awarded in 2018 Dog Hero of the Year, unbeknownst to me, when we showed up to the award dinner, which was like 400 people, Jackson Galaxy happened to be the MC for the whole event. And so we got to meet Jackson Galaxy there. And then we had just a couple other things in the industry where we kind of collided on stuff. So I thought, well, if someone's going to endorse our book, like I have to like figure that out, and pursue who that person's going to be. I figured, Jackson's probably as likely as anybody because at least he knows who we are. I think he follows like 45 people on Instagram and we're one of them. And I'm like, well, we need to capitalize on that. Right. So, yeah, that was just a matter of contacting his agent and telling him what we were doing and why we thought we had good points of alignment between what his mission was and what we were doing. Because although he's the cat daddy, he is also a dog lover as well. And we were just really, really so appreciative that he agreed to endorse the book.
Yeah, and plus, I think he's also, when I think of him, I think of, transforming dogs or cats, I guess, who like just are almost on the verge of getting tossed out of their house
Yeah,
and
because
helping them become part of the family. And so, the rehoming work that you do and training with the dogs, it really does align well.
Yeah. So that was so that again, it's a universal thing. It's kind of just a thread that kind of pulled through. And it's interesting in life because I always tell myself that when I'm trying for like a new project or a new concept or something, that when I put it out there, I have to remember the answer's rarely no. The answer is usually not yet. You're not ready. It's not time. And it's like, if I can switch over to the universe's timing instead of my timing, it's amazing how many of those things I pitched in the past or I thought was a good idea in the past that seemed to go nowhere, that now all of a sudden I have this content that's already ready and ready to go, but my brand is in a different place. And now that kind of opens doors. And you mentioned what we're doing with Papa John's. We approached Papa John's about putting flyers for homeless dogs on the top of each pizza box because we have a massive overpopulation issue here in Arizona. And so we are being distributed at about 42 locations in the Phoenix Valley, which is really, really cool. But what's really neat about that is this program has just launched. And 2 years ago, a concept that I loved, that I put together, I pitched, I put a lot of time, it had a great reception on social media, was that for a national pizza chain to offer what I refer to as a doggy pizza, which is really just a doggy treat in a little pizza box. So when you place an order and your pizza comes and your dog's like, I want some of that, you actually have a little something to give your dog. It's a healthy treat. It's a little add-on people can add to their order. And then my goal would be to get the proceeds of those sales to benefit an animal profit or animal nonprofit. And so now we've done the Papa John's thing. This morning I get an email that they've picked up the news story in St. Louis, Missouri. And so now we're on Papa John's radar. Even though we did this 2 years ago, now I'm ready, and I've already sent the email this morning. Here's a concept I'd like to run by you. So it's like you're not in charge of the timing, and when you force your own agenda, like trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, you're going to be nothing but stressed out and frustrated. Instead, it's sort of letting the universe flow and letting yourself develop and evolve the way you're supposed to, which isn't overnight.
Yeah, you got my wheels turning already, because I'm just thinking, so many people, myself included, try to launch something and push so hard, and it just it's just not working. It's like there's so much friction, and maybe you just have to retry it again in a year or something like that. It's probably not a bad idea. It could just be not meant to be at this very moment.
Well, you think about all of the concepts that came out, before the .com crash. There were so many new tech startups that had freaking fantastic ideas. They were brilliant. But just because the idea is great, it doesn't mean necessarily it's the right time in history, or other technology things have to catch up in order to really make it be something that's saleable. And there's a lot of those companies that initially went out of business, but the same concept was picked up by a different company that wasn't bankrupt and ran with it 5 or 10 years later, where the technology and the consumer usage of that would be more appropriate.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I've been getting into TikTok, and when I went to create a TikTok account, I found out my username that I use for everything, T-Mystic, was already taken, and I was like, who took my name? But it was just me, because I think it used to be Vine, or something like that. And so anyhow, these companies, Vine sort of came and went and was died on the vine. But then, now they've rebooted it and rebranded it, but it's still, it's the same company. It's the same kind of back end somehow, somewhere, some way. And it's a similar idea with these hyper short videos. So it's very interesting. Okay, speaking of video, it seems to be the underlying theme of this entire conversation, because the other thing I wanted to ask you about was the Real Dog Moms of Scottsdale. And there's this amazing video that I watched of you and a bunch of your dog mom friends from Scottsdale. And I'll let you describe it, but how did that come to be?
Yeah, well, we've, again, about timing and getting the right fit to move forward on whatever your project is so important. And we've been working on pitching a TV show, and we've had several different iterations and tries. And for one reason or another, we didn't like the concept, or we had a platformer show called Adopt Don't Shop, where we'd take one family that was looking to adopt a pet but needed some help, and the shelters are overwhelming places to go. And so we would be like an adoption concierge and walk them through this process, and what were they looking for in a dog, and what's their lifestyle like, and is this a good match? And we would travel around the country, Brian and I, and work with 2 or 3 different rescues to try and find a dog that the family was looking for. And it sounded like a great idea. I'm all about that. It was one of our main core elements of our nonprofit, is to encourage people to adopt and not shop. And then we filmed it, and I'm like, this is freaking boring. I hate this. And it's I didn't know until we filmed it. And so I never even did a single other thing on it. I was immediately turned off. I was like, I wouldn't watch this. This is boring. We got to have more than this. And then, there's 4 of us, Colleen and Erica and Betsy and I, and we're always working together on different dog rescues and situations. And Erica actually had the idea. She's a big fan of the Real Housewives show, and I've never actually seen it. And she said, what if we were the dog moms of Scottsdale? Like, instead of the Real Housewives of New York, we're the dog moms of Scottsdale. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so we kind of filmed the show on the premise that the drama isn't going to come from us fighting, because I don't need that in my life. But the drama is actually going to come from the real life rescue, crazy ass stuff that we get involved in. There's the drama, and so we would kind of be a cross between the Real Housewives and Pitbull and Parolees. And so that's kind of what we put together. We're working on a sizzle reel that we're looking for a production company for, and we'll see where that goes. Again, like, you never know, and you can't be attached, because it might be the sizzle reel that gets us in the door, but they want to use our cast of characters in a different way for a different show format. But you got to start somewhere, and in the middle of all this, we're also writing a screenplay, which I'm very excited about. We've had a couple different people that really want to. I've kind of told them what the premise is, and they're like, we can sell that. So and the screenplay is going to be based on a heroine, a really strong female lead character, which is loosely based on me, and about a woman that goes through breast cancer, that essentially at the end of her treatment, she's still alive, like I was. But as many people know, cancer treatment is the third leading cause of bankruptcy in this country.
Wow.
So she comes out the other side like, I should be thankful that I'm alive, but then she loses her house, she loses her business, like she's got nothing left. And so she kind of has a breakdown. She ends up traveling across the country, getting involved in different dog rescue situations, which are all based on the real rescues that we've done. And I'm going to skip past a lot of the drama just because I can go on forever. And I know this is a podcast, we have limited time, but she ends up providing transport for some pit bulls that are being held as live evidence that were seized from a dogfighting operation. And she's providing transport from the place where they are to get them to some different rescues across the country. And in the process, the organized crime syndicate that had the dogs actually track her down, run her off the road, and take the dogs, including her own personal dog, her Stella. And she's just like completely, losing her mind. Well, she has no idea what to do, but she finds out that her family has put a GPS collar on Stella. And so it's a cat and mouse game across the country, which is very dramatic. And anyway, so the goal really with everything I do, and this is like what you said earlier, like, what's your mission? Our mission, 3 simple things: to encourage people to adopt and not shop, to advocate for pit bull type dogs, and to help educate and underwrite spay and neuter initiatives. And all of these stories are going to wrap themselves around to giving these fighting dogs another chance. Like, through this transport with these fighting dogs, she's expecting them to be like, really scary. And then she finds out, these are kind of just like my own personal dog, Stella. Like, and it gives the audience a chance to think about these animals in a different way, and hopefully will give them dogs in real life a second chance to be, somebody's beloved and find their forever home.
That is like such a riveting story. I wanted to read the book. I wanted to watch the movie. I also know who should star. You probably already have somebody in mind. Do you have an idea for who you want?
I do, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda who?
Amanda
I'll have
Seyfried.
to look her up.
Yes, she, because I live in Pittsburgh, she has filmed at least one movie in Pittsburgh, and she's a dog lover. And I could just see her playing a really good part in that role.
I love that.
You have to look her up.
I love that. I love, I get some of my inspiration from Linda Hamilton when she played Sarah Connor in Terminator, in the early ones. I haven't seen the later movies.
I haven't seen the new one, but she's back apparently in the new one.
Yeah. Well, in Terminator 2, she's such a badass, and like, she's taken control, and that's really like, this story is going to be similar to mine. A woman that's like totally brought to her knees and crushed, and through that process becomes like really hardened and jaded. And through rescuing these dogs, like, she starts to feel her heart soften and has that flood of compassion. And through that, she realizes, oh my God, I'm worrying about this dog, and I'm not so self-absorbed being worried about my own situation, and the path that leads to healing both physically and psychologically, that sort of phoenix rising from the ashes, and then transforming into this figure like Sarah Connor, where she's ready to take on the world.
Yeah. I love it. I'm so excited for you and everything that you're doing. And you are like, you kick ass. Like you get an idea and you go out and do it. So I'm sure all of these things are going to happen. So unfortunately, we are out of time for this particular show. But tell everyone where they can buy your book and where they can learn more, because we didn't really even get to talk about the spay and neuter grant program that you do. So tell people where they can go to learn about all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Please check out our Instagram or Facebook, and that's Incredibull. And bull is spelled Bull. So IncredibullStella. It's also the same on Facebook, pretty much the same on Twitter. And our website's the same too, IncredibullStella.com. And we would love it if you would support our work by buying a book. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, any major book retailer, really, Amazon, Target, wherever you want to buy it. Make a great Christmas present. It's a very uplifting, inspirational story. And one thing I'll point out is that a lot of people ask me, does a dog die in the end? No, we are both still alive. So for us sensitive dog lovers, I know that's an important part. So if you know someone that's struggling with some challenges, I really hope that we can leverage, really the difficult things that my family's been through to help lift people up and give them hope with a situation that they might be dealing with.
Yeah. Oh, I just love everything you're doing. And I think there should be a sticker that goes on books that says the dog does not die at the end, because
I heard there's a website. Oh,
really?
Like if you're worried about a movie, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked, but I heard there's a website that will tell you whether the dog dies or not.
Oh, maybe I should do a blog post of like movies and books where the dog doesn't die.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that last Dog's Life or Dog's Purpose or whatever movie, we were a special guest to the premiere of that, and I invited all these kids, and I felt so terrible because everybody, even all my dog moms that are like my age or older, everybody was like really distraught. And I had left early because I had to have Stella there. I was going to make her sit through a movie. And I thought, oh, I've just like these kids are crying themselves to sleep, and I'm like, oh God, it's not what I had in mind.
Oh well, we can uplift their spirits. Go to Marika and Stella's social media, and you'll smile. You won't cry. And thank you again so much for being on the show.
Oh, thanks, Tori. Appreciate it. Love the work you do.
Thank you for listening to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. You can fetch show notes at wearwagrepeat.com. If you like what you hear, please hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And until next time, we'll see you around the dog park.